Well, let's see. Oh boy, you can see all kinds of my stuff. Yeah. Doesn't look terribly different than the last place, does it? But now you can see all my nice acupuncture charts that my teacher gave me. The secrets. Oh, the secrets. Okay, so let's see. Just want to make sure I've got this correct. Excellent. All right. A little bit of an educational. I want to give a salute to Quod Verum, Quodverum. I highly recommend just if you will be a bit upset by the demeanor sometimes of the worshipful master. I like to put it. But that's you'll see bearded blather comes on now and then. But it really is that if you go onto the social network, just don't mess with anybody. Just be real cool and understand that when somebody puts you on to something, look it up. Because now this is really, you're dealing with a generation of people that we dealt with harder men than us. We dealt with people who really did want that it was look it up was what they did all the time. My parents did that. Everybody in my family said, well, good thing you have encyclopedias and you have a dictionary, the big dictionary too. So a really big one. My grandfather even had a stand for this huge dictionary. So I just wanted to read this because it was something that I found incredibly valuable. Saul Montes, I can't believe I'm forgetting, but Saul is the man who put me onto this, and he's been very, very generous, a very wink and a nod to me in the chat, because there's stuff that I will put. Hey Scott, I'll put in the I'll put into the chat that because he's a part of a fraternal order that I know something about, and there's things I'm very curious about their involvement in making the colonies separate of the European powers. Almost all revolution, as we think of it now, is something generated from about the merchant and intellectual class and down. There's the high nobles and all these high muckety mucks and warlords, but then at a certain time, because of really a period in Europe that was not cold, people were able to. There was a middle class formed. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, and I'm forgetting somebody can remind me the Germany and Austro-Hungarian Empire. I'm missing a period. It's just not coming to me at the moment. But you end up getting a very large number of middle class kind of people in this 15 building up to the 1700s, and then in the 1800s you really see an actual real merchant middle class. A big part of that had to do with the expanse of shipping trade. And yes, I am playing EVE Online while I'm doing this. So if you hear something going on in the background, that's what's going on. So the liberties of the Massachusetts colony in New England, 1641. So this says it's page 261. So this is reprinted from digital version of a leaflet in Old South Leaflets, is part of the Hanover Historical Text Project. So that's where I'm reading this from. It was scanned by Monica Bonas in August 1996 and was last modified March 8th, 2012. So, the free fruition of such liberties, immunities, and privileges as humanity, civility, and Christianity call for, as due to every man in his place and proportion, without impeachment and infringement, hath ever been and ever will be the tranquility and stability of church and commonwealth. all the denial or deprival thereof, the disturbance, if not the ruin of both. We hold it therefore our duty and safety, whilst we are about the further establishing of this government, to collect and express all such freedoms as for present we foresee may concern us and our posterity after us, and ratify them with our solemn consent. We do therefore this day religiously and unanimously decree and confirm the following rights, liberties, and privileges concerning our church and civil state. Church and civil state, to be respectively, impartially, and inviolably enjoyed and observed throughout our jurisdiction forever. 1. No man's life shall be taken away, no man's honor or good dismembered, nor any ways punished, no right of his wife or children, no man's goods or estate shall be taken away from, nor any way damaged under color of law or countenance of authority, unless it be by virtue or equity of some express law of the country warranting and sufficiently published, or in case of the defect of a law in any particular case by the word of God, and in capital cases or in cases concerning dismembering punishment, according to that to judge. Every person within this jurisdiction, whether inhabitant or foreigner, shall enjoy the same justice and law that is general for the plantation, which we constitute and execute one towards another without partiality or delay. 3. No man shall be urged to take any oath or subscribe any article, covenants, or remonstrance of a public and civil nature, but such as the general court hath considered, allowed, and required. 4. No man shall be punished for not appearing at or before any civil assembly, court, council, magistrate, or officer, nor for the omission of any office or service, if he shall be necessarily hindered by any apparent act or providence of God, which he could neither foresee nor avoid, provided that this law shall not prejudice any person of his just cost or damage in any civil action. We're told these people were nut jobs killing off Indians. Does this sound like nuttery? Let's continue. No man shall be compelled to any public work or service unless the press be grounded upon some act of the general court and have reasonable allowance therefor. 6. No man shall be pressed in person to any office, work, wares, or other public service that is necessarily and sufficiently exempted by any natural or personal impediment, as by want of years, greatness of age, defect of mind, failing of senses, or impotence of limbs. 7. No man shall be compelled to go out of the limits of this plantation upon any offensive wars, which this Commonwealth or any of our friends or confederates shall voluntarily undertake, but only upon such vindictive and defensive wars in our own behalf, consent of a court general, or by authority derived from the same. Number 8. No man's cattle or goods of what kind soever shall be pressed or taken for any public use or service, unless it be by warrant grounded upon some of the acts we do afford, and if his cattle or goods shall perish or suffer damage in such service, the owner shall be sufficiently recompensed. No monopolies shall be granted or allowed amongst us, but of such new inventions that are profitable to the country, and that for a short time. All our lands and heritages shall be free from all fines and licenses upon alienations, and from all harriets, wars, liveries, primer seasons. Okay, that one I don't know. I'll have to look that word up. Sorry. Year, day, and wast. Etiates and forfeitures upon the parents or ancestors, be they natural, casual, or judicial. So nobody can blame your ancestors and then take your shit. 12. Every man. 11. All persons which are of the age of 21 years and of right understanding and memories, whether excommunicate or condemned, shall have full power and liberty to make their wills and testaments and other lawful alienations of their lands and estates. Every man, whether inhabitant or foreigner, free or not free, shall have liberty to come to any public court, council, or town meeting, and either by speech or writing to move any lawful, seasonable, and material questions, or to present any necessary motion, complaint, petition, bill, or information, whereof that meeting hath proper cognizance, so it be done in convenient time, due order, and respective manner. 13. No man shall be rated here for any estate or revenue he hath in England, or in any foreign parts, till it be transported hither. 14. Any conveyance or alienation of land or other estate whatsoever, made by any woman that is married, any child under age, idiot, or distracted person, shall be good if it be passed and ratified by the consent of a general court. 15. All covenants or fraudulent alienations, or conveyances of lands, tenements, or any hereditaments, shall be of no validity to defeat any man from due debts or legacies, or from any just title, claim, or possession of that which is so fraudulently conveyed. 16. Every inhabitant that is in a in-house. That is an. Okay, that's interesting. Oh yes, because H, that's the old rule. That's the old rule. Okay, H. Hold on. Okay. 16. Every inhabitant that is an householder shall have free fishing and fowling in any great ponds and bays, coves and rivers, so far as the sea ebbs and flows within the precincts of the town where they dwell, unless the free men of the same town or the general court have otherwise appropriated them, provided that this shall not be extended to give leave to any man to come upon other property without their leave. 17. Every man of or within this jurisdiction shall have free liberty, notwithstanding any civil power, to both himself and family at their pleasure out of the same, provided there be no legal impediment to the contrary. Concerning judicial proceedings. How are we doing? Oh yeah. We're going strong. We're going strong. All right. Hey everybody. Oh, give me the thumbs up. Somebody knows that I'm a dangerous person. Make Susan Wojcicki. 18. No man's person shall be restrained or imprisoned by any authority whatsoever before the law hath sentenced him security, bail, or main prize for his appearance and good behavior in the meantime, unless it be in crimes capital, and contempts in open court, and in such cases where some express act of court doth allow it. Give me just 1 second. Just got to do a little something here. Little something here. So that I don't get pwned, because there's EVE Online. And the rule is, don't pay attention, you're going to get pwned. There you go. Bam. All right. Oh, there we go. Yep. And we're out. And there we go. Yes. Let's get on out of here. All right. 19. See, there's no rights in EVE Online. If in a general court, any miscarriage shall be amongst the assistants. Oh, wait. If in a general court, any miscarriage shall be amongst the assistants when they are by themselves that may deserve an admonition or fine under 20 shillings, it shall be examined and sentenced amongst themselves. If amongst the deputies, when they are by themselves, it shall be examined and sentenced amongst themselves. If it be when the whole court is together, it shall be judged by the whole court, not severally as before. Wow, some that we just don't. This is almost like a different language. Oh my gosh. If number 20, if any which are to sit as judges in any other court shall demean themselves offensively in court, the rest of the judges present shall have power to censure him for it. If the cause be of a high nature, it shall be presented to and censured at the next superior court. 21. In all cases where the first summons are not served 6 days before the court, and the cause briefly specified in the warrant, where he will appear or no, except all cases that are to be handled in courts suddenly on extraordinary occasions. In all cases, there appears present an urgent cause, any assistant or officer appointed shall have power to make out attachments for the first summons. Sorry, everybody, just gotta put something here. There we go. Excellent. Yes. Excellent. All right. 2. No in any suit or action against an other false and greatness or damages to vex his adversary. If it shall appear any doth so, the court shall have power to set a reasonable fine on his head. There we go. Let's get the warp drive active. For detaining any debt from any creditor above £8 in the 101 year, and not above that rate proportionable for all sums whatsoever. Neither shall this be color or countenance to allow any usury amongst us, contrary to the law of God. 24. In all trespasses or damages done to any man or men, if it can be proved to be done by the mere default of him or them to whom the trespass is done, it shall be judged no trespass, nor any damage given for it. 25. No summons, pleading, judgment, or any kind of proceeding in court or course of justice shall be abated, arrested, or reversed upon any kind of circumstantial errors. Or mistakes, if the person and cause be rightly understood and intended by the court. 26. Every man that findeth himself plead his own cause in any court shall have liberty to employ any man against whom the court doth not accept to help him, provided he give him no fee or reward for his pains. This shall not exempt the party himself from answering such questions in person as the court shall think meet to demand of him. 27. If any plaintiff shall give into any court a declaration of his cause in writing, the defendant shall also have liberty and time to give in his answer in writing, and so in all further proceedings between party and party so it doth not further hinder the dispatch of justice, then the court shall be willing unto. 28. The plaintiff in all actions brought in any court shall have liberty to withdraw his action, or to be non-suited before the jury hath given in their verdict, in which case he shall always pay full cost and charges to the defendant, and may afterwards renew his suit at an other court if he please. In all actions at law, it shall be the liberty of the plaintiff and defendant by mutual consent to choose whether they will be tried by the bench or by a jury, unless it be where the law upon just reason hath otherwise determined. The like liberty shall be granted to all persons in criminal cases. 30. It shall be in the liberty of both plaintiff and defendant, and likewise every delinquent, to be judged by a jury to challenge any of the jurors. So the idea that you can have jurists, that you can have back to the 1600s. Yeah, let's just do it again. It shall be in the liberty both of plaintiff and defendant, and likewise every delinquent, to be judged by a jury to challenge any of the jurors, and if the challenge be found just and reasonable by the bench or the rest of the jury, as the challenger shall choose, it shall be allowed him, and tales de circumstantiibus impaneled in their room. Wow. It really does say it, circumstantibus. Imagine what a conversation must have been like in these days. I just think about it like, oh man, wow, like what was going, man, we are a different people now, aren't we? All right, so in all cases where evidence is so obscure or defective that the jury cannot clearly and safely give a positive verdict, whether it be a grand or petit jury, it shall have liberty to give a non-liquid or a special verdict, in which last, that is a special verdict, the judgment of the cause shall be left to the court. All jurors shall have liberty in matters of fact if they cannot find the main issue, yet to find and present in their verdict so much as they can. If the bench and jurors shall so suffer at any time about their verdict that either of them cannot proceed with peace of conscience, the case shall be referred to the general court, who shall take the question from both and determine it. Number 32. Every man shall have liberty to replevy his cattle or goods, impounded, distrained, seized, or extended, unless it be upon execution after judgment and in payment of fines, provided he puts in good security to prosecute his replevin, and to satisfy such demands as his adversary shall recover against him in law. 33. No man's person shall be arrested or imprisoned upon execution or judgment for any debt or fine. So this whole idea of you're not paying your child support, you just get locked up like that, that's not how this country was made. That's judicial activism. If the law can find competent means of satisfaction otherwise from his estate, or if not, his person may be arrested and imprisoned, where he shall be kept at his own charge, not the plaintiff's, till satisfaction be made, unless the court that had cognizance of the cause or some superior court shall otherwise provide. 34. If any man shall be proved and judged a common barrator, vexing others, a barrator, vexing others with unjust, frequent, and endless suits, it shall be in the power of courts, both to deny him the benefit of the law and to punish him for his barratry. So actually, this is one that I would think of for all the people who will fuck up your life with just suing. That at one time the idea really was in the creation of the country that that a judge would be like, you've got to no, you're going to have to come up with something legit, or I'm going to chuck you in jail, or you're going to have to pay this guy some money for making his in the field or upon cart, nor his garden stuff, nor anything subject to present decay shall be taken in any distress, unless he that takes it doth presently bestow it where it may not be embezzled, nor suffer spoil or decay, or give security to satisfy the worth thereof, if it comes to any harm. 36. Condemned or sentenced in any case in any inferior court to make their appeal to the court of assistance, provided that they tender their appeal and put in security to prosecute it, before the court be ended wherein they were condemned, and within 6 days next ensuing put in good security before some assistant to satisfy what his adversary shall recover against him, and if the cause be of a criminal nature, for his good behavior and appearance, and every man shall have liberty to complain to the general court of any injustice done him in any court of assistance or other. 37. In all cases where it appears to the court that the plaintiff hath willingly and wittingly done wrong to the defendant in commencing and prosecuting an action or complaint against him, they shall have power to impose upon him a proportionable fine to the use of the defendant or accused person for his false complaint or clamor. 38. Every man shall have liberty to record in the public rolls of any court any testimony given upon oath in the same court or before 2 assistants, or any deed or evidence legally confirmed there to remain in perpetuum rei memoriam, that is, for the perpetual memorial or evidence. 39. In all actions, both real and personal, between party and party, the court shall have power to respite execution for a convenient time, when in their prudence they see just cause to do. 41. No conveyance, deed, or promise whatsoever shall be of validity if it be gotten by a legal any kind of forcible compulsion, called duress or duress. 41. Every man that is to answer for any criminal cause, whether he be in prison or under bail, his cause shall be heard and determined at the next court that hath proper cognizance thereof, and may be done without prejudice of justice. 42. No man shall be twice sentenced by civil justice for one and the same crime, offense, or trespass. Double jeopardy. 43. No man shall be beaten with above 40 stripes, nor shall any true gentleman, nor any man equal to a gentleman, be punished with whipping, unless his crime be very shameful, and course of life vicious and profligate. 44. No man condemned to die shall be put to death within 4 days next after his condemnation, unless the court sees special cause to the contrary, or in case of martial law, nor shall the body of any man so put to death be unburied 12 hours, unless it be in the case of anatomy. 45. No man shall be forced by torture to confess any crime against himself nor any other, unless it be some capital case, where he is first fully convicted by clear and sufficient evidence to be guilty, after which, if the cause be of that nature that is very apparent there be other conspirators or confederates with him, then he may be tortured, and not with such tortures as be barbarous and inhumane. back in those days, apparently they believed in the idea of, we're going to make you talk, bastard. You're a traitor. I'm going to make you talk, traitor. Okay. 46. For bawdeal punishments we allow amongst us none that are inhumane, barbarous, or cruel. So that the executioner can't dig it. 47. No man shall be put to death without the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, or that which is equivalent thereunto. 48. Every inhabitant of the country shall have free liberty to search and view any rules, records, and registers of any court or office except the council, and to have a transcript or exemplification thereof written, examined, and signed by the hand of the officer of the office paying the appointed fees therefor. 49. Pardon me. No free man shall be compelled to serve upon juries above 2 courts in a year, except grand jurymen, who shall hold 2 courts together at the least. 50. All jurors shall be chosen continually by the free men of the town where they dwell. 51. All associates selected. I wonder if you got in touch with me. No, I see what you did. Okay. All associates selected at any time to assist the assistants in inferior courts shall be nominated by the towns belonging to that court by orderly agreement among themselves. So we're at 51. I know, humane torture, right? It still was the old days, you know. But also, you can see some of these are obviously things like, you know, the kind of thing of, we're not going to, if there's some reason that your crops get seized, somebody can't just seize your crops and let them rot. They can't damage them. They can't damage your cattle. There's no authority that can do stuff to your family and your wife. It isn't a thing of, they can, like the drug war. The drug war is the antithesis of most of this, where you could have things seized and have no idea what the charges are because it's very secretive. The very idea of what was going on with Donald Trump and all of this Russian stuff, and that there's secret courts that are meeting in basements and that nobody could record anything, absolutely contrary to the fundamental founding of this country. So at this stage, people really need to understand, if you oppose the Democrats, you are actually standing up for the first list of rights in this country. And as you're hearing, this is an extensive number of rights. This is actually, I mean, and this is all New England. Remember, this is where we get our colleges from. The very concept that you can be educated, and that being able to like read and write, and even not, I mean, it kind of indicates that even if you don't know how to read and write, because they were saying that people who aren't free can address the court if they feel that injustice has been done against them. So this is fascinating stuff. 52. Children, idiots, distracted persons, and all that are strangers or newcomers to our plantation shall have such allowances and dispensations in any cause, whether criminal or other, as religion and reason require. 53. The age of discretion for passing away of lands, or such kind of herediments, or for giving votes, verdicts, or sentence in any civil courts or causes, shall be 1 and 20 years. 54. Okay, so that I see the age of discretion is 21 years. Okay, got it. Whensoever anything is to be put to vote, any sentence to be pronounced, or any other matter to be proposed or read in any court or assembly, if the president or moderator thereof shall refuse to perform it, the major part of the members of that court or assembly shall have power to appoint any other meet man of them to do it, and if there be just cause to punish him, that should and would not. 55. In all suits or actions in any court, the plaintiff shall have liberty to make all the titles and claims to that he sues for he can, and the defendant shall have liberty to plead all the pleas he can in answer to them, and the court shall judge according to the entire evidence of all. 56. If any man shall behave himself offensively at any town meeting, the rest of the freemen then present shall have power to sentence him for his offense, so be it the mulct or penalty exceed not 20 shillings. 57. I'm figuring that that's just a word we just don't use anymore. Whensoever any person shall come to any sudden, untimely, and unnatural death, some assistant or the constables of that town shall forthwith summon a jury of 12 free men to inquire of the cause and manner of the death, and shall present a true verdict thereof to some near assistant or the next court to be held for that town upon their oath. Liberties more peculiarly concerning the freemen. 58. Civil authority hath power and liberty to see the peace, ordinances, and the rules of right observed in every church according to his word, so it be done in a civil and not in an ecclesiastical way. 59. Civil authority hath power and liberty to deal with any church member in a way civil justice, notwithstanding any church relation, office, or interest. 60. No church censure shall degrade or depose any man from any civil dignity, office, or authority he shall have in the commonwealth. So people can't say, "Oh, you're a bad Catholic. You can't be a mayor." So that's kind of been made it more. 61. No magistrate, juror, officer, or other man shall be bound to inform present or reveal any private danger to this plantation or any member thereof, when any necessary tie of conscience binds him to secrecy grounded upon the word of God, unless it be in case of testimony lawfully required. So you can't be like, "Tell me about crimes you know about." We'll fuck you up. Tell us your secrets. We'll fuck you up. 62. Any shire or town shall have liberty to choose their deputies, whom and where they please, for the general court. So be it they be free men, and have taken their oath of fealty, and inhabiting in this jurisdiction. 63. No governor, deputy, assistant, associate, or grand juryman at any court, nor any deputy of the general court, shall at any time bear his own charges at any court, but their necessary expenses shall be defrayed either by the town or shire on whose service they are, or by the county in general, or by the country in general. There we go. Doodly-doo. Yes. Give me space rocks. 64. Every action between party and party in proceedings against delinquents and criminal causes shall be briefly and distinctly entered on the court by the recorder thereof, that such actions be not afterwards brought again to the vexation of any man. 65. No custom or prescription shall ever prevail amongst us in any moral cause. Our meaning is maintain anything that can be proved to be morally sinful by the word of God. 66. The freemen of every township shall have power to make such bylaws and constitutions as may concern the welfare of their town, provided they be not of a criminal, but only of a prudential nature, and that their penalties exceed not 20 shillings for one offense, and that they be not repugnant to the public laws and orders of the country. If any inhabitant shall neglect or refuse to observe them, they shall have power to levy the appointed penalties by distress. 67. If the constant liberty of the free men of this plantation to choose yearly at the court of election out of the free men all the general officers of this jurisdiction, if they please to discharge them at the day of election by way of vote, they may do it without showing cause. But if in any other general court we hold it due justice that the reasons thereof be alleged and proved by general officers, we mean our governor, deputy governor, assistants, treasurer, general of our wars, I'm presuming it's wars, and our admiral at sea, and such as are or hereafter may be of the like general nature. 68. If the liberty of the free men to choose such deputies for the general court out of themselves, either in their own towns or elsewhere, as they judge fittest, and because we cannot foresee what variety and weight of occasions may fall into future considerations, and what counsels we may stand in need of, we decree that the deputies to attend the general court in the behalf of the country shall not any time be stated or enacted, but from court to court, or at the most, but for 1 year, that the country may have an annual liberty to do in that case what is most behooveful for the best welfare thereof. So apparently behooveful is a word, we could use that. That's behooveful. I like that one. That's because I do like behoove. Behooveful. Okay. No, sorry. Just gotta drop off. 69. No general court shall be dissolved or adjourned without the consent of the major part thereof. Okay. It is that what's capitalized here is major, and then part is P-A-R-T-E. So I'm wondering if this is something that I just don't know because it's actually French in nature, or just like a Normand, like a Normand kind of Frankish English term. 70. All free men called to give any advice, vote, verdict, or sentence in any court, council, or civil assembly shall have full freedom to do it according to their true judgments and consciences, so it be done orderly and inoffensively for the manner. 71. The governor shall have a casting voice, whensoever an equi vote shall fall out in the court of assistance or general assembly, so shall the precedent or moderator have in all civil courts or assemblies. So, at this stage, I just want to emphasize, so I want to make sure I go back for some of you who've joined in here. So what I'm reading here is the Massachusetts Body of Liberties, 1641. So I got this at the Hanover Historical Text Project. And just looking because here we are. I also wanted to touch on this because this was a rather fascinating person, because Mr. Saul Montez had made sure that something I brought up in the chat, he did a wink and a nod. It was very nice, very, very nice of him. Because you see, there's if you look into Freemasonry at this time, if you start poking around different websites and stuff, what you will find is that there's various Boston lodges, but there's one in particular that you can find them talking about they are the lodge that the Boston Tea Party participants were at. Tom Hartman has one of the few written accounts of what happened that night, but he never mentioned, and it's never mentioned in the writing, where were they? Like, where? That they were all dressed up as Native Americans, and that in the writing that Tom Hartman read, it was in homage of Native Americans because they were free people. They didn't dress like Englishmen for this. They dressed like who were free. The people of this new. There was a lodge meeting. They left the lodge. They went down to the docks, and they dumped the tea in the harbor. And this wasn't small amounts of. This was huge amounts of tea. These are big crates. It took groups. These would have been seagoing vessels. They could hear these guys heaving these fucking things into the water all night. Uh-oh. Connection. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, it's back. All right. The connection is stable. Actually, let's see here. Let's AFK AF. So let's just do this. I just got to do a little something here. And let's discuss a by the actions of his enemies, what kind of man this was. Warren. From born May. Oh, I'm sorry. Jump right into it. Joseph Warren, born June 11, 1741, died June 17, 1775. So 1741, died 1775. Was an American physician who played a leading role in patriot organizations in Boston during the early days of the American Revolution. Eventually serving as president of the Revolutionary Massachusetts Provincial Congress, Warren enlisted Paul Revere and William Dawes on April 18, 1775, to leave Boston and spread the alarm that the British garrison in Boston was setting out to raid the town of Concord and arrest rebel leaders John Hancock and Samuel Adams. Warren participated in the Battle of Lexington and Concord. The following day, which are commonly considered to be the opening engagements. Whoops. Okay, excellent. Excellent. There we go. Good. Sorry, everybody. That was. See, I was going to take a nap, but instead I decided to have a bit of cold coffee and to make content, because doing stuff for other people is what I'll be remembered for. Hopefully. Warren had been commissioned a major general in the colony's militia shortly before the June 17, 1775 Battle of Bunker Hill. Rather than exercising his rank, Warren chose to serve in the battle as a private soldier and was killed in combat when British troops stormed the redoubt atop Breed's Hill, his death immortalized in John Trumbull's painting, The Death of General Warren at the Battle of Bunker's Hill. June 17, 1775, galvanized the rebel forces. He has been memorialized in the naming of many towns, counties, streets, and other locations in the United States by statues and in numerous other ways. Joseph Warren was born in Roxbury Province of Massachusetts Bay to Joseph and Mary née Stevens Warren. His father was a respected farmer who died in October 1755 when he fell off a ladder while gathering fruit in his orchard. After attending the Roxbury Latin School, Joseph enrolled in Harvard College, graduating in 1759, and then taught for about a year at Roxbury Latin. So think about that one. His father was physically picking his own orchard fruit. Middle class. And unique to Boston. You might be the son of a man who picks his own fruit from his own orchard, and you can then attend school, and no man judges you for your father's orchard, but they judge you for what you can do for others. He taught about a year at Roxbury Latin. He studied medicine and married 18-year-old heiress Elizabeth Houghton on September 6, 1764. She died in 1773, leaving him with 4 children: Elizabeth, Joseph, Mary, and Richard. Before his death in 1775, he was engaged to Mercy Scully. While practicing medicine and surgery in Boston, he became involved in politics, associating with John Adams and other leaders of the broad movement labeled Sons of Liberty. Warren conducted an autopsy of the body of young Christopher Cedar in February 1770 and was a member of the Boston Committee that assembled a report on the following month's Boston Massacre. Earlier, in 1768, royal officials tried to place his publishers, Eads and Gill, on trial for an incendiary newspaper essay Warren wrote under the pseudonym A True Patriot. Pseudonyms. The government was so oppressive, they had to use pseudonyms to criticize it. Interesting times, But no local jury would indict them. In 1774, he authored a song, Free America, which was published in colonial newspapers. The poem was set to a traditional British tune, the British Grenadiers. Joseph Warren joined the Scottish Rite Freemasonry, being initiated in St. Andrew's Lodge, and later became past provincial Grand Master of Massachusetts. As Boston's conflict with the royal government came to a head in 1773 through 75, Warren was appointed to the Boston Committee of Correspondence. He twice delivered orations in commemoration of the massacre, the second time in March 1775 while the town was occupied by army troops. Warren drafted the Suffolk Resolves, which were endorsed by the Continental Congress to advocate resistance to Parliament's coercive acts, which were otherwise known as the Intolerable Acts. He was appointed president of the Massachusetts Provincial Congress, the highest position in the revolutionary government. In mid-April 1775, Warren and Dr. Benjamin Church were the two top members of the Committee of Correspondence left in Boston. On the afternoon of April 18th, British troops in the town mobilized for a long-planned raid on the nearby town of Concord, and already before nightfall, word of mouth had spread knowledge of the mobilization widely within Boston. It had been known to rebel leadership for weeks that General Gage in Boston had plans to destroy munitions stored in Concord by the colonials, and it was also known that they would be taking a route through Lexington. Some unsupported stories argue that Warren received additional information from a highly placed informant, usually claiming it was from Margaret Kemble Gage, the wife of Thomas Gage, and that the troops had orders to arrest Samuel Adams and John Hancock. However, there is little evidence of this, as the troops apparently had no such orders. Regardless, Warren learned there was some British expedition likely to begin that night, and so sent William Dawes and Paul to conspire against the British, and that Warren unstable. We're back to stability. All right. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up, everybody. Yeah, right on, you all. Warren slipped out of Boston early on April 9th, and during that day's Battle of Lexington and Concord, he coordinated and led militia into the fight alongside William Heath as the British Army returned to Boston. When the enemy were returning from Concord, he was among the foremost in hanging upon their rear and assailing their flanks. During this fighting, Warren was nearly killed, a musket ball striking part of his wig. Oh my. Sorry. When his mother saw him after the battle and heard of his escape, she entreated him with tears again not to risk life so precious. Quote, "Wherever danger is, dear mother," he answered, of Boston. Promulgating the Patriots' version of events and negotiating with General Gage, is General Israel Putnam pointed to Breed's Hill. Warren volunteered to join the fighting as a private. Again, Prescott. Interesting. Both of whom requested that he serve as their commander. Warren declined the command in the belief that Putnam and Prescott were more experienced with war. He was among Warren was known to have repeatedly declared of the British, "These fellows say we won't fight. By heaven, I hope I shall die up to my knees in blood." He fought in the redoubt until out of ammunition, and remained until the British made their third and final assault on the hill to give time for the militia to escape. He was killed instantly by a musket or pistol ball in the head by a British officer, possibly Lieutenant Lord Rawdon, who recognized him, or by an officer servant. This account is supported by a 2011 forensic analysis. His body was stripped of clothing, and he was bayoneted until unrecognizable, and then shoved into a shallow ditch. British Captain Walter Lowry, who had been defeated at Old North Bridge, later said he, quote, "stuffed the scoundrel with another rebel into one hole, and there he and his seditious principles may remain." In a letter to John Adams, Benjamin Hitchborne described the damage that British Lieutenant James Drew of the sloop Scorpion inflicted on Warren's body 2 days after the Battle of Bunker Hill. Quote, "In a day or two after, Drew went upon the hill, again opened the dirt that was thrown over the doctor. Warren spit in his face, jumped on his stomach, and at last cut off his head, and committed every act of violence upon his body. His body found, and later in 1825 in St. Paul's Church, before finally being moved in 1855 to his family's vault in Forest Hills Cemetery. General Gage reportedly said Warren's death was equal to the death of 500 men. There's a citation still needed for that. It encouraged the revolutionary cause because it was viewed children were staying with his fiancée, Mercy Scollay, in Worcester as refugees from the siege of Boston. She continued education from John Hancock, Samuel Adams, Mercy Otis Warren, Benedict Arnold, and even the Continental Congress. Citation is still needed for that. Joseph's youngest brother and apprentice in medicine, John Warren, served as a surgeon upon the Battle of Bunker Hill and the rest of the war, and afterwards founded Harvard Medical School and co-founded the Massachusetts Medical Society. Josiah Warren, inventor, musician, individualist, anarchist, and author in the United States, was a grandson of Joseph Warren. There are at least 4 statues of Duxbury Latin School, and the third atop the pudding stone at his gravesite at the Forest Hills Cemetery. This statue was commissioned by the 6th Masonic District and dedicated in a ceremony by the Grand Master of Masons in Massachusetts on October 22nd, 2016. The fourth is in a small park on the corner of 3rd and Pennsylvania Avenues in Warren, Pennsylvania. All named after the general. 1840, the first Warren School near Bunker Hill. It relocated to School and Summer Streets in 1868 and later merged with the Prescott School to form the county named after him. Additionally, Warren, Pennsylvania, Warren, Michigan, Warren, New Jersey, Warrenton, Missouri, Warrenton, Virginia, Warren, Maine, Warren, Massachusetts, Warrenton, North Carolina, Warrenton, Connecticut, and 30 Warren townships are also named in his honor. The New York County of Warren is in fact named after James Warren, a prominent early settler. Yes. The streets of Detroit, Michigan were redesigned after the 1806 fire based on Pierre L'Enfant's plan for Washington, D.C. Warren Avenue in Detroit is named after Joseph Warren. 5 ships in the Continental Navy and United States Navy were named Warren in his honor. Warren Square in Savannah, Georgia is also named for him. Now this I didn't see earlier. Freemasonry. Warren was a Scottish Freemason in Boston, Massachusetts, which held a charter from the Grand Lodge of Scotland. Now that is interesting. Now that's one that this would have been prior to what we now call the UGLE, United Grand Lodge of England. You see, when the United Grand, when the English formed their particular Masonic, sort of their public understood Masonic body, there were 41 lodges in England itself. In Scotland, there were 400. Only 4 Scottish lodges stayed to be represented. The Scottish had no interest in being a part of English Freemasonry. They were Masons. They had their own system. They had no need for anything else. So for about a generation, there's an issue of irregularity of lodges, such as George Washington technically was a member of a clandestine lodge. And this would, in my the way because I spent years just really quite a Scottish rite as we think of it now, which is technically French, not Scottish. The date he joined the lodge is not known, but it was during the period after the inauguration of the lodge on St. Andrew's Day, the 30th of November, 1756, and the 15th May, 1769, when he is recorded in the Grand Lodge of Scotland's Grand Lodge of Scotland. All right, did not know. No wonder, Saul. Oh my gosh, no wonder you put me on in the same year upon his death. Me the career man. It is the second highest honor conferred by the Grand Lodge, only surpassed by the Henry Price Medal. The Henry Price Medal is usually awarded to those who serve with distinction within the grand jurisdiction. Everybody, hope all is well with you. I'm do this more often, Aaron Clarity style. Just hit the button. We'll do it live because it's more on that. All right. If there's anything you can spare, hit my PayPal. Be greatly appreciated. And also join the Discord. I believe I posted all the links to this in Human History or in Hall of Dangerous Ideas. And if I have not, I will try to make sure to do so. Also, if in the comments you need any information about this, just put it in the comments. What I'm reading about Joseph Warren, that is entirely just